Broadway shows don't last forever, but some of the costumes used on stage can get a second act, thanks to a not-for-profit organization called the TDF Costume Collection.
We have a dress from Wicked, worn by Elphaba, as well as one of the Mamma Mia jumpsuits.
That's Stephen Cabral, the director of the collection, which is based in Astoria, Queens. TDF accepts donations from various theatrical performances at the end of their run and rents them back out to other performances for reuse.
We do approximately 1,000 productions a year, renting over 10,000 costumes, both here in New York City as well as nationwide.
They have over 80,000 items in their collection, including shoes, shirts, dresses, hats, gloves, and various other accessories.
A lot of times when a Broadway show will eventually close, the costumes are usually retained for the tour or backup. But every once in a while, a Broadway show will say, okay, we're sort of done with these clothes, you can have them.
TDF started back in the early 70s, when the Metropolitan Opera moved to Lincoln Center and donated costumes from 22 shows. TDF has since expanded, offering all sorts of items donated from a variety of performances and individuals.
Recently, we received a rather large and very exciting donation. Hollywood, Broadway, fashion designer Bob Mackie.
Some notable pieces Mackie donated were a dress worn by Julia Louis-Dreyfus at the 1997 Emmy Awards, and an entire production of The Best Little Whorehouse goes public.
When the original production of Rent finally closed after running for many, many years, we were very fortunate to receive all of the original costumes from the original Off-Broadway production before it moved to Broadway. We received many donations over the years from Mamma Mia when Mamma Mia was on Broadway. We have a dress worn by Jane Krakowski from a recent production of She Loves Me. Some costumes worn by Patti LuPone in the revival of Gypsy.
While many of the items are iconic, you won't necessarily find something worn by big celebrities like Cher or Barbra Streisand.
Many celebrities actually want to hold on to their costumes, either to potentially open a museum or more likely later on in life have some sort of celebrity auction.
Many amateur stage performances rent from TDF, but so do some TV shows and movies.
Saturday Night Live, when they're filming, depending on their season and their needs, is in here sometimes every week.
TDF costumes can be seen in this skit with Betty White.
Now all we need is a dress and some proper shoes and a little womanly allure.
And this skit with Justin Timberlake as Mozart.
Both Birdman and 12 Years a Slave featured costumes in the film that were rented here from the TDF Costume Collection. The only type of rental that we really don't do is Halloween. Our costumes are really not Halloween worthy. We also try to avoid doing rentals where there's any food or beverage involved.
Anyone can go in and explore the collection, but if you want to try anything on, you have to fill out some paperwork first. They have mannequins you can use to check sizes and dressing rooms you can book in advance.
Here I go.
Cost is based on a whole look, not per individual item.
The other part of our pricing exists with number of weeks of performances and how large your theater is.
You also have to pay to have the costumes dry cleaned before returning them. Steven says they have a green strategy in place to make sure all the items get as much use as possible. Once an item gets too ragged, it's moved to a special area where these types of items are in demand.
We have a distress section. So for productions like Les Mis or Urinetown, these are costumes that need to not look so great.
And 2 or 3 times a year, they open up the warehouse for a special bag sale.
You pay for that bag, you go in, and whatever you can shove into that bag and take out the door is yours.
So no matter what condition a costume is in, there's always a chance at an encore performance.
Sometimes I'll put costumes on people and there's like nothing. Nothing changes, they're just kind of like, eh. Then you put costumes on people and it brings out a whole other personality or two, and it's kind of fun.
Lovely to meet you.